Hi, I'm Rhett, Pittsburgh Steel Types, and with me today is Sam, aka Ruby T.
Hey everybody.
We're going to be breaking down the VBA draft. We're going to start off with the Beantown Binacles. This is Theo's team. He's one of the admins for the group, and he's one of the players that I met in season zero, where we decided to start this league. I think he's got a pretty cool team. He's starting off in his tier ones with a fairy dragon steel core with Heatran, Latios, and Whimsicott. I think I think this is a great core to start with. Latios with Levitate kind of covers and hovers Heatran's weaknesses. Whimsicott, of course, gives a lot of options.
I think you hit the nail on the head straight away with the Steel Fairy and Dragon there. And if you then throw his Inteleon G-Max, you get the Fire, Grass, Water as well.
Yeah.
In just that top four, which is really strong. Um, Again, as you say, if you're going to bring ground for Heatran, you can't hit Latios. I think it's a really nice. I think it will take a lot of careful preparation when you're setting up against the Beantown Binders for sure.
Yeah. Plus, Latios is a really interesting choice for Draft League because it has a lot of options. You can easily go support or offensive. That massive 130 special attack.
Huge. Plus the Soldier.
Yeah.
Uh, it's really, it's a really strong. I think it gets overlooked in VGC a lot of the time because it just does get a bit outclassed by other dragons. But in something like a draft league where it, as you say, has so many options that you don't know what's going to be. Does it get Tailwind as well?
It does. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there's another option that you've got there.
Yeah. It also gets
I look at
screens.
that. It gets screens as well. I didn't know that. Which is just screens are really popular in season 8, season 7, season 8, whichever one we're in now.
Hmm.
Reggie Alecki, um, Lapras has still got a place, and so if Latios has screens, Tailwind, 130 special attack. I mean, you pair 130 special attack with Fake Tears, Whimsicott. There's not a lot in the format you're not going to be able to one hit. I don't think.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus 110
which
speed
is
is just solid.
absolutely. I mean, that's the same as Tornadus, Thunderous, um, a lot of those guys. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a dangerous Pokemon, and I must admit it's one I overlooked when prepping for the draft. I
I,
think.
I will say one weakness that I see in this core is that
Yeah.
Inteleon, Heatran, Latios, and Whimsicott are all special attackers.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I also look further down the list at the other physical attackers that there are in this team, and none of them are huge standouts for me as bigger threats that perhaps those tier one Pokemon are. I also think that between Inteleon, Heatran, which are not so much Latios, there are ways of taking them out quite quickly. Inteleon has got that fantastic sniper ability,
Hmm.
and can hit like a truck. But if you catch it outside of Gmax or with a powerful, super effective move, it can go down pretty quickly. Again, so with Heatran with a double ground weakness, um, obviously Rim's got usually focus sashed, but there's not a huge amount of bulk there if you set up right. I don't think.
Yeah. Mudsdale is an option if you want bulk. He's got the beat up and stamina combo if he wants it.
With body press.
Yeah. One pick that I was surprised that was so contentious in the draft was Haunter. A lot of people wanted Haunter.
Yes. I'm not sure what the deal is with Haunter. I mean, Haunter Gengar, they get access to some good support moves. I agree. I was kind of surprised. how contentious it was.
Lightning Rod on Manectric will help against his Regieleki matchup.
I would have picked Serena were it still there. I must admit, when it got round to me for tier 3, I would have picked it if it were there. I think it's a really cool Pokemon with some really good abilities.
And again, with Draft League, you can kind of see whether you need each ability or not. I really like Stoutland, but I wish he had a Sand Setter to go with it.
Yeah. I looked at Stoutland Gigalith in my prep.
Mm-hmm.
And were Gigalith still around, I would have taken it. Stoutland Gigalith, I think, is really, really strong. I think you came up against it last year.
I did, yeah.
So really, I think it's a really strong.
Why don't we move on to the Boston Blissies? Yeah, this is a scary team because it's a strong Sun core. You've got
Strong Sun core.
Gmax Charizard, Torkoal, Venusaur, Heliolisk, and Trevenant. This is actually, it reminds me a lot of the team that I ran in Season 0. But now it's got Suicune for Tailwind, which is nice. Gastrodon to build up its weakness to water with Charizard and Torkoal at the top. Rhydon is a really solid Trick Room option.
Yeah, I think the sun mode's really obvious on this team. Really, really strong. I mean, Gmax, Charizard, Torkoal, Venusaur it's a competitive core that's been around since the start of this. It's Season 5. Since when the Gmax came out, Season 4, Season 5.
Yeah.
And it's been really strong ever since. However, I wouldn't look past the trick room mode on this team. Rhydon Cloyster, really strong, and Hitmonchan can do some cool stuff as well. So definitely a team to watch out for, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Trevenant is a really difficult Trick Room setter to take out with Harvest in the Sun, and Heliolisk is a damn strong hitter. Plus, I like the Solar Power Dry Skin option. So if you want to give it the ability to absorb water moves, you can do that.
And obviously Sableye as well, the world's greatest Pokemon. Sad I didn't manage to get him, but yeah, it's a tier 2 as well. I think it's a great pick. Obviously Prankster, Fake Out, Quash, Trick, Jet Button, all that good stuff. I ran into on the ladder the other day a kind of offensive Shadow Sneak Sableye that I wasn't expecting as well. It took a little chunk, so it really, I think it can do everything. So yeah, I think the Boston Blissies have got a really good team.
So the Central Mass Clovers have a really interesting team. Starts with Gmax Sandaconda, which is a pick you don't see much. Sandspit is interesting tech, makes it really hard to keep weather up. Do you know what the Gmax move from Sandaconda does?
Okay, so Sandaconda's Gmax move is Gmax Sand Blast, which is basically really powerful ground move, and it's like Sand Tomb for both opponents, so it traps both in, which is kind of what we thought. There's obviously a plan for Sandaconda there, and I'm really, really excited to see what that is.
He's also got Gothitelle for trap, and Lapras for Perish Song. So, and Dugtrio for Arena Trap. So he's got a lot of trap options. He doesn't want you switching around much. And then, of course, he's got Tapu Koko. So one of the things that I see him doing here is using his trapping options to secure his electric terrain so that you can't keep switching in your terrain setter to change it.
I'll be interested to see how this team fares after a couple of weeks. With the battles being on YouTube, on Twitch, etc., how does the team adapt as the weeks go on? It's really exciting. I love the different choices of Pokemon. I think Primarina's a pretty strong pick too.
Yeah, I'll be definitely watching his videos because I want to see how he uses the tools he has here.
was Christy Krabbies, one of our Rillaboom users.
The only one, in fact. Nobody drafted regular Rillaboom. There were a lot of tier 1 picks left at the end that I was surprised about. He started with the G-Max Rillaboom, and then he managed to get Dragonite and Togekiss.
I think the Dragonite Togekiss is really nice with the Ninetales Alola as well for screens.
Mm-hmm.
You can turn Dragonite into a bit of a powerhouse with those screens up and multi-scale at different times. It's just really hard to take out. I'd watch out for that. And yeah, as you say, Togekiss really helps with that ghost type matchup.
And then he also has Alolan Sandslash as a hail sweeper. All right, well, let's take a look at the Detroit Dragonites next. This guy had a draft.
Yeah, for sure. It's a serious draft, right? Just look at that top four. Damn, Cinderace, G-Max Cinderace, Amoonguss, Dragapult, and Landorus Therian. Like, how? What were the rest of us doing to allow this to happen?
Right? If you come down a little bit, I'm not entirely sure what Alolan Raichu is doing here without any kind of electric terrain. But he's got a lot of tools. Scrafty is always good. Ribombee is tough to prep for because it's got so many options, and Speed Swap is so good.
I'm just looking, the only thing I can think is it's a very fast team. It's a really, really fast team, other than Amoonguss. So I'm not sure what the Trick Room mode is, if there is one, or what the answer is. But looking at it, I don't think you need one. I think you've got so much firepower up front with the tech alongside Amoonguss. Someone said during the draft, someone said, "Are you sure you want to use a tier 1 pick for a support Pokemon?" I mean, this just shows you that if you've got the right plan, that your tier 1 pick can definitely be a support Pokemon.
And Amoonguss is an excellent answer to Trick Room. You don't need much else. But let's move on to the Feraligatrs then.
Very scary.
Yeah. So this is our mutual friend Senpai, who used his first picks as the 16th and 17th pick to grab Weezing and Regigigas at the same time.
So scary. And then you look around it as well. I mean, obviously Weezing Regigigas is like it's a known thing, you know. But then you look around it. There's Pelipper and Dreadnought. You've got Articuno, Hydreigon, and Celestina. It's just great. And the tier 4 picks of Thwackey, Chinchino, and Wigglytuff. All round, I think Ricky or Senpai has done a fantastic job.
And I gotta say, Luxray is a really good tier 3 pick. It's basically Electric Arcanine, but 2 tiers lower.
The only thing I noticed about this team, the one thing I noticed is there's no fire type. But once again, I mean, Hydreigon takes care of that offensively. It's strong. It's a strong team, I think. I think he's done a really good job. You're effectively coming up against his team. You've got to prep for 2 modes for certain that you can see right off the bat, and then whatever else Ricky comes up with, I'm really excited again to see that. I think it's going to be really cool.
So moving on, we have the Gardner Guzzlords. This is another friend of ours, Bubble Hulk, who's also one of the admins.
Artist.
Oh, quite an artist. And he loves Trick Room. Yeah. Looking at his top 2 picks here, Hattering, Glasstrier, he got his Trick Room mode.
Yeah. There's not more of a Bubble first 2 picks than that, I don't think.
Maybe Fungus, but he got that too.
Oh, yeah. You've got to prep for Trick Room if you're coming up against the Guzzlords, that's for sure.
Yeah. He's had a lot of success with Dusknoir recently.
I love Dusknoir as a Pokemon. fantastic. Um, I've run choice band Dust Noir before. I've run trick room setting Dust Noir before. Utility Dust Noir. It is. I honestly believe it can do everything. Um,
I think it's a good pick in the context of this draft because he's always going to want to have Eviolite on Fungus. So
yeah.
he didn't really want Dusclops, and Dusk Noir can do all the same stuff without needing the Eviolite.
Yep. I think if you were making a team for a tournament, VGC tournament, you'd take Dusclops all day. But for a draft league, Dust Noir's the superior pick because of its utility.
Yeah. And that's not all. He's also got Regieleki, which gives him a hard-hitting fast mode and screen. He's got Salamence for Intimidate support. So next up, we have that H-Town Hound Dunes.
I love the logo, by the way.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I think he did a great job. He's got Tapu Lele, G-Max Colossal, which is solid. All of the G-Maxes with recurring damage are really good.
Yeah, I think there's obviously the Urshifu Rapid Strike Colossal combination there, which will work. Tapu Lele, I think, with the Psychic Surge is really, really good. It helps out with that stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
Lipard, great utility. Mamoswine.
The thing about Lipard is that you're going to have to be careful with Prankster and Psychic Terrain. You can really mess yourself up that way if you're not careful.
I've done it before, and I'm sure I'll do it again. But yeah, it's I think you're right. The same thing that it shuts down for your opponent. Obviously, if you're running Lipard Lele yourself, and get yourself into a bit of bother there. I like the Orangaroo pick. I think it could be an interesting use. I'm just not. My only thing here was I was looking through this team yesterday, and the Orangaroo is fantastic. I love Orangaroo, but I'm not sure what you're pairing it with.
Yeah, I mean, even Mamoswine is not that slow.
Right, exactly. And Colossal is slow. But the best thing about Colossal is its ability and weakness policy. So, I wasn't sure, but again, that's the beauty of the draft, right? I might not be so sure looking at this team how that's going to work, and then come week one, everyone goes, "Oh, damn, that's how it works. How amazing! That's brilliant."
I do think there's some potential for weakness policy on Decidueye, maybe paired with Mamoswine.
Yeah, I agree. The Dracloak as a tier 4 pick as well is really strong. Dracloak is it's obviously not as good as Dragapult, but I think it's a strong pick. It's one of the best tier 4 Pokemon, I think. And obviously, I mean, Kang isn't as popular as it was 5 years ago. It was the best Pokemon anyone's ever seen, and it's never going to hit those heights again. But I still think there's a place for it, especially in draft leagues like this. I really wanted Kangaskhan. Okay. I mean, first up, obviously, the top three, very strong. Emax Lapras is a great Pokemon. Kartana is fantastic, and it is great, I think, in the meta game at the moment.
Yeah.
And Moltres, again, very common usage, great ability. So top three, very strong. And I think all the tier 2s are very strong as well.
Yeah. So he's actually dropping Gengar. Starting in week 2, he'll have Naganadel instead.
Right, okay. I can see that. I think, yeah, I mean, I guess Naganadel gives you a bit more offensive utility.
I guess. I mean, Gengar's pretty good at offense, and he's much faster. I honestly think it's kind of a step down. to go from Gengar to Naganadel?
I think, yeah, I think so. I guess it depends what you want. Me personally, I like Gengar. I think Gengar offers you a lot, upgrade wise. If you're prepping for a VGC competition, you may have a niche for Nagandel. You may want it for a specific reason, and that's great. But I think on a draft league basis, on a week by week basis, Gengar could offer you more. But again, it's always you're on the outside looking in, right?
Yeah.
With this team, I think I look up and down this team. It's got strong Pokemon. There's clearly some synergy. My only question would be, I think, if this were my team, and I was going. So as obviously guys who are in the draft would know, Moltres. If I hadn't have drafted Tornadus, Moltres was my next pick. I know it's a fantastic Pokemon. My only concern would be Gmax, Lapras, and Moltres on the same team. Moltres really, to get the best out of it, was the Gmax, to make sure that you're. Was the Dynamax, sorry, to make sure that you're not getting KO'd and you are triggering Berserk and Weakness Policy, if that's how you use it, obviously. And then the extra bulk from Dynamax really helps. You can set screens with Lapras and then use Moltres that way, but it's significantly weaker when you do. So I wonder if there'll be a bit of a fight for who gets the G-Max.
And it's not just those two. There's a lot of max targets here. Kartana kind of likes the max. Drampa likes the max. So, it's just going to be interesting to see who he decides to max in each matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's the synergy with. I presume Piloswine still gets Ice Shard if Piloswine does. For Weakness Policy, Moltres. It's definitely you could run this as a dual mode team. Hitmontop is a good Pokemon. I don't think it's quite as good as it has been in years gone by, but it is still a good Pokemon. Nidoqueen's a cool pick. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the coach does with this team. I think Moltres is obviously tearing up the metagame at the moment. It's on a lot of teams. I think the only thing that lets it down is it's a little slower than some of the other flying types out there.
Yeah.
Things like Airstreaming, Speed Wars, it can get let down a little bit, but it makes up for it with Berserk. So, yeah, again, strong team, really strong team.
Yeah. Next is the Kung Fu Urshafuz. This guy had the second pick in the draft, and I really like what he's put together here in a lot of ways.
So I'll say it, okay? I think I haven't played as much this year as in years gone by. I think Thundurus is the best Pokemon in the format at the moment. I think it offers so much. Now it has Defiant. I think it's fantastic. I think it pairs with everything in a draft league. That electric flying typing, dual abilities, and Defiant. I think it's fantastic. And when I first started prepping my draft, it was going to be my first pick. I thought, you know what? I looked at Pikalytics. It's right down there at like 14, 15. Oh, I'll be able to get Thundurus. And it was gone straight away. So with the other Pokemon that have been drafted, this is a really strong team.
So I see a really strong Trick Room mode here with Snorlax, Marowak, Porygon 2. The Ferroseed is good in Trick Room. Togepi is good for setting it up. Doublade is really interesting with the ability No Guard. That lets you get off a lot of really interesting moves that normally have drawbacks with accuracy.
Yes, for sure. There's also something I came across the other day playing in fourth battle. It's Riolu Mantine. So Mantine obviously has huge special bulk, and actually is kind of a mixed attacker. Slightly favors. Sorry, not mixed attacker, but it favors special attack, right? came across someone using coaching Riolu with Mantine, just to bulk its physical defense and its attack, and it genuinely works. That with Alolan Marowak as well is really cool. Like, I know it's probably pretty out there. I don't know if the coach has thought of that, but I've seen it happen before. Very, very cool team. Mandibuzz is a great Pokemon, and obviously Ditto.
Ditto is a fun pick.
They had a cool Havoc.
And Riolu has a lot of coaching targets on this team. He can hit Thundurus, Marowak, Snorlax, Mantine, Doublade, even Ferroseed, maybe.
Great pick in this team. Riolu is a great choice, I think. Do you know what the next team is?
The next team is Pittsburgh Steel types. So this is my team. I feel pretty good about it. I was stoked to get Feeney as my first pick, and I got Zapdos as my second. I think Zapdos pairs up really well against a lot of the meta right now. In addition, we've got Driftblim, which with Unburden combos really well with Feeney. It's a good Tailwind setter. It's got a couple other options. Persian has so many options, and I think often gets overlooked.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, you've been prepping for it.
Yeah, I've been sitting here before we started talking, thinking, how does Persian do, or what the hell does Persian not do?
Yeah,
that's so much. So I'll tell you what I like about your team, from my point of view, and I'll talk about it in terms of matchups that aren't with me, obviously because we're playing each other week 1. So I won't ask you to talk too much about it because that's probably unfair. I like, first of all, I think we were talking about Galarian Moltres a minute ago. I think regular Zapdos is a great counter to Galarian Moltres.
Yeah.
It outspeeds, it's got 90 special defense, 90 HP, and a decent special attack. It obviously stamp super effective damage. I think it's a really, really good choice against Moltres. You can use it again online, on ranked. An Airstream followed by a Max Airstream followed by Max Lightning. You're good into Moltres. I think that paired with Marowak paired with Zapdos and Tapu Fini is really, really strong. And Weezing, obviously, with neutralizing gas down in tier 4, an absolute steal for you.
I picked it early too because I knew it would go.
Yeah, right. I had my eye on it, but I figured you'd probably take it, and I think that pairs well with your team as well. Good team.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
What sort of EV spreads are you thinking again?
Like, so Ferrothorn, right? I'm gonna dump all the EVs into speed and special attack.
Right. And specs?
Yep. Totally.
It's gonna be a really, really tough matchup week 1. I'm glad to get it done and out of the way week 1, to be honest, because I think you've got a really strong team, and I'm excited for our match.
Yeah, me too. So let's look it's going to be a lot of fun. Pokeballs next. This is the other European player. He's from Portugal.
There's more of us? Oh, fantastic. I'm sure that he's going to do really well, because obviously us Europeans are very clever. But I really like his team. That top 3-4 really looks good to me.
So one thing that's interesting is that he's already offered to trade away Dusclops. He put a post in the Discord seeing if anybody was interested.
Many Eviolite mons.
Yeah. But Urshafuz Single Strike, Incineroar, Azumarill, all really strong. Braviary is a cool pick. Nice to get Defiant.
I think Braviary and Togetic both really strong picks. Excuse me. Morgrem I also thought was an excellent pick.
Yeah.
Not using your tier your tiers up, like higher up, your twos and your ones, to get in that prankster screens.
Mm-hmm.
And I think looking at teams that are well balanced, I think this one is certainly one of them. Incineroar was a Pokemon that it's not one of those big sort of pseudo legendaries, whatever. But I think it's still so good. It's been good ever since it got Intimidate released, and I think it will continue to be good. So yeah, a really, really well balanced team, I think, in my opinion.
I think so. And Cressley's just got options, which is cool. And I'll be interested to see what he does with Rotom Frost too. And next up, I mean, really, this is the only team in the draft that I think is just total garbage. The Sussex Sableyes.
Didn't talk about this team at all. Let's just move straight on. Discuss them. Well, I mean, I was pretty happy with the draft. To be honest with you, I would pick 11, and I had 4 or 5 Pokemon I really wanted to get first up, and I got one of them. I wanted Tornadus. I got it really, really happy, and I wanted Rose and Heat, and I got Rose and Heat. So the rest had a couple of different plans, and I was able to follow one of them slightly. I'm really pleased with the team. I think I've got a few modes to play with, and I wish that we weren't playing each other week 1, so I could discuss it with you.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you that I was looking at Ninetales and Venusaur, and if you hadn't grabbed it when you did, I would have gotten it on the next round.
I think, people always. I knew wanted some weather of some kind, because that's the format. It's draft league. I wanted to have some weather. I knew it'd be more difficult to get hold of terrain. I didn't think for a second Torkoal would last till second or third pick. So I watched Ninetales, both Ninetales, and what I really wanted, honest, was Gigalith.
Yeah.
I really wanted Gigalith. But by the time my picks came up, I would have been on the short pick. I could still get Gmax Venusaur as my Gmax. I actually didn't plan for a Gmax at all. I just ignored them and figured I'd take what came up.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
I think it was on my way down the pick, so I would have only had 10 turns to wait. Gmax Venusaur was available. So I thought, you know what, this is the best chance I've got to get a Gmax Venusaur, and then hope that we're still early enough into this draft that other people have got plans, and I'll get Ninetales on the way back up. I think that's the way it went round.
And it helped that regular Venusaur had already gone to a team that had Torkoal.
Yeah, right.
And Gmax Charizard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm like the baby son.
But you got the Big Daddy Venusaur.
I've got the Big Daddy Venusaur. I'm surprised at, I'm trying to remember. I think Venusaur was pick 4 or 5 for me. I think I picked Tornadus, Rotom, Togedemaru, and Venusaur? Or then Ninetales and then followed by Venusaur? I can't remember, but I ideally would have liked to have the option of passive damage. I was surprised it was still there.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. I'm also a fan of Turt at the bottom there. Turt does work. Tangle is nice for redirection. Both Barbaracle and Whiscash have some options which are pretty cool. And Lurantis is one of those Pokemon where it does one thing, but it does it really well. And if it gets going, it's hard to stop.
So here's the real story: is during the draft, and this was the funniest thing. I never thought there would be competition for Galarian Rapidash. Um, Myself and one of the other guys had girlfriends in the room who sat through a 2.5 hour draft while we were picking Pokemon, and I'd agreed that we'll have one that you like because I need a lower tier pick, and literally like 2 turns before a Galarian Rapidash went, which was Gemma's pick, and I was like, oh no. She was like, oh, she was devastated, and I was thinking,
Yeah.
and then her next choice was Lurantis, and I was kind of thinking, oh, I'm not sure. Okay, I'll just pick it. And then, I'll be honest, I paid no attention to Lurantis. I didn't even realise it had Contrary.
It gets Contrary and Leaf Storm, which is just an insane combination. It doesn't get many coverage moves, but
How would you counter it specifically?
well,
I like the team. Turt's cool. I got to go into the 1600s and Players Cup with Turt. It's a cool Pokemon. I like the team. I don't think it's the strongest team out there by any stretch, but I'm pleased with it.
So the next team is Team Arcane Fox, and this poor guy overslept and missed his first 7 picks. And not only that, he had the first pick of the draft. So what we did was we decided to work with him a little bit. We enforced the penalties on his 2 tier 3 and 1 tier 4 picks, and gave him random options. And then we gave him free reign to make his free picks and spend his points however he wanted, just because it was so devastating to have 7 penalties, and we couldn't randomize more than half his team.
I think he dealt with it as someone who's not an admin. I think he dealt with that perfectly. And you guys as a group, because there's the penalties in place that were there in the first place, but also it doesn't punish someone who genuinely just overslept. Plus, by the way, you said was it the tier 3 picks that were randomised?
Yeah, from the randomization, he got Rotom, Salazzle, and Seaking as his randomizations.
Seaking has 2 good abilities in Lightning Rod and Swift Swim. And Salazzle has options, Rotom Fan. I've weakness policy Rotom Fan for a while. It can do work. Milotic, I love. Regidrago was still around. Entei, Emax Corviknight, Araquanid, tier 2 is a good pick as well.
Yeah.
Oversleeping, yes, but don't sleep on his team.
Yeah, agreed. Second to last, we have the West Side Weezings.
Are the West Side Weezings the only team with only 1 tier 1 Pokemon?
I believe so, yeah. Now this is a cool strategy to spread out his free points to try and have a stronger team overall. He's only got 1 tier 4, which is Shuckle. And then everything else is tier 3 or above. Cottony gets Prankster. It does not get Tailwind, but it does get some other cool stuff like Switcheroo and Fake Tears and Tickle and stuff like that. He's got a couple options for Trick Room setters.
There's some good Trick Room Pokemon too.
Yeah.
Some really strong, some threats in Trick Room, I think. Um, and the other thing I think is what is quite nice with this team is that if you do want to go Trick Room mode, you don't need to just use necessarily the really slow Pokemon. In a metagame where a lot of stuff is quite fast, um, Pokemon like Entei and Metagross can work. Darmanitan and Metagross can actually work in Trick Room
Mm-hmm.
up against the base 100, 110 speed Pokemon. Uh, Gmash Blastoise, I think, in Draft League is going to be a really, really solid Pokemon too.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Metagross and Clefable are both going to be real strong. I like the Darm pick. Gudra gives him that Fairy Steel Dragon Core. Um, I think Electivire is an interesting pick.
Yes.
He's got some options, and his stats are pretty good with the 123 attack, 95 speed. That's solid.
And Motor Drive.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good ability.
So, I mean, hey, that with the synergy with Blastoise, there could be really useful, and with Toxapex,
Mm-hmm.
if you time that switch in right, that's gonna. I think Electivire with like most jobs does boost speed, right? When you get hit by an electric move, is that right?
Yeah.
I think if Electivire was a quicker Pokemon, it would be a real threat. So, the Pokemon again, balanced team. I like the 4 tier 2s, 4 tier 3s idea. I wonder if it'll work, but I think it's a really good idea.
All right. Next up, we have the Worcester Stunfisks, and I think this is a cool team. Crocodile. I actually during the tiering, I argued for it to be tier two. I thought it was a little bit weak to be tier one, but Toast was one of the ones arguing it for it to be tier one. So good on him for making that argument on a Pokemon he planned to take.
Yeah, it's a good honesty. Crocodile's a good Pokemon. A couple of good abilities, probably three good abilities in the right sense.
Yeah.
Paired with Xurkitree
Yeah.
or Pastatree, um, it is really, really nice. Crobat is one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, and a good one at that. I don't think obviously with Tailwind it's useful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's certainly not better than like tier 2, but I think it's one of the better tier 2 picks.
It's also
And in this team, it fits really well.
yeah, and it's like the most reliable Tailwind setter of them all.
You can't mention because it's in a focus. Put a mental herb on there. It's about surprisingly bulky, so it can take attacks. Plus, you're not relying on Prankster. It's just genuinely very, very fast. Most reliable Tailwind setter. I think you're probably right. Yeah.
Then we have Galarian Slowking. It's got Curious Medicine, which has been kind of a disappointment. The fact that it only works on your own team really kind of sucks. But I still think it's got a lot of options. It can be a Trick Room setter. I think it can do screens. I need to do more research on it before my match against Toast.
It's one of those Pokemon that, 2 weeks before the DLC, everyone was talking about it. And then when it turned out that its ability wasn't that great,
Yeah.
I mean, it's useful in the right circumstances, but ultimately it's not quite what the masses were expecting.
Yeah.
So, and G-Max Pikachu, someone had to draft it, right?
It's one of those Pokemon that has a surprising amount of options. It can run Lightning Rod Fake Out, or it can run offensive with the Gmax form. You can give it the Light Ball, which is a Pikachu specific item.
it's double special attack, is that right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a cool Pokemon. It's the G-Max move is double paralysis, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's definitely a place for it. I, again, it's another one. This is another one of those teams. So I look at it and I think, I'm not. Other than Crocodile Secretary under Tailwind, what are you bringing?
Yeah. So I'll tell you that in season 0, Toast went 9-2. Yeah. So there's a lot here that I'm not sure what it does yet, but I guarantee he's got plans that we're not going to see coming.
That's good. It's exciting. I think there's a lot here that can be used, and I really love that people can get creative with this team. I think Azelf is something we haven't even mentioned. Azelf.
Yeah.
125 attack and special attack with a 115 speed.
Yeah, that's scary.
Just having a quick look at the moveset now. You've got like Thunderbolt, Thunder Punch, Zen Headbutt, obviously. U-turn. It's got Taunt if you do want that kind of thing. Shadow Ball, Psychic Cut, Psyshock, Psychic, Play Rough, Nasty Plot, Ice Punch, Iron Tail, Grass Knot, Flamethrower, Fire Punch, Expanding Force, Energy Ball, Drain Punch, Dazzling Gleam, Acrobatics. I mean, if you're looking at a Pokemon for Draft League, if you're looking at a Pokemon for Draft League for options, Azelf is probably one that I think some people maybe look at Azelf and think, I'm not sure about that being really strong tier 1 Pokemon, but that's so many options.
Yeah. I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of options in Draft League. All right. Well, Sam, thank you so much for sitting down with me and going through all these.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I would love for everybody to go over to Sam's channel and say hi, like, comment, subscribe, whatever his newest video is. And if you haven't already, do the same here. I'm super excited to show you guys our first round match. It's going to be me and Sam, so you'll get to see both sides. And I think it's going to be a really fun match.
It'll be a great match, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for it to be done as well.
Yes.
We can compare notes.
Yeah.
It's been great to chat to you.